Hello everyone, this is Josh Carlson from Chip Theory Games, and today's spotlight is on Stanza. We've got a lot packed into this character, and it's a real exciting one. It's kind of fun because there's a few head nods to some of our old World of Warcraft days. Adam's probably one of his most developed characters was a troubadour actually, and his name was Stanza. We loved the name and wanted to use that here. It's just such a good fit. So one of my favorite characters, newer characters for sure. This character is going to be very group oriented, which is funny because we're pairing her with Duster and only Duster in this, unless you add on Gasket. So we definitely are going to make sure that she is very viable with as a solo play character or in just a pair of characters. But in this case, there's a lot of things that affect more than just one Gearloc or baddie. So let's get into it. Again, there might be a few. Well, there's definitely some spoilers here. So if you want to experience Stanza like from the start, brand new, probably want to skip this video. But again, I will try to talk at a fairly high level, not go into too much strategy, but more just talk about some of her specifics. So yeah, well, let's see how it goes. Let's start with her stats. As a few people have noticed, she comes off pretty tanky right from the start. So with 5 health, that's a good amount of health to start as a Gearloc. Dex is also quite high. That's one of our highest Dex starters. Both her and Stanza or Duster start with very high Dex. This is interesting because the battle mat for Undertow is one that's a little bit more confining from the respect when you're on that raft. There's not nearly as many movement options starting out. So that Dex you're going to find is not necessarily Dex that you're going to be applying to move around until the crowns start attacking, because then you're going to need to get from one side of that raft to the other. And so so it will come into play, but initially I think you're going to find that Dex is going to be used heavily on rolling attack and defense and some of your skills. The other obvious thing that I'll just note right away is the active and lock slots. Stanza has a lot of lock slots because that is how she controls what songs she's playing, and those songs get locked in to those areas, and that's where the lock slots are going to be utilized. We have 4 different professions for her. She's got the Rhapsodist, the Lamenter, the Allurer, and the Agitator. The Agitator, I would say, has a feel of that's definitely her axe abilities. If you haven't figured out that she has a weapon hidden within that guitar, you better watch the video again, the Kickstarter video again, because it's definitely comes out there. But that axe blade is her main form of damage as a solo character, certainly. But she also comes off as a little bit of a tank, as funny as that may seem. She's got, again, that heavy starting health and a fair amount of good damage. The charge swing and the fury cleave, again, probably won't go into too many specifics on those, but they're all related to her axe and related to doing damage. Her little consumables are her amplifier and the string picks. And again, those are skills that are going to augment some of her other skills, such as her main skill, which is her Latar. So her Latar is what she gains from her innate songsmith, and it allows her to lock in those songs and then actually modify their effects using that Latar. So the Latar is obviously where all the music is coming from. And what's kind of fun about this character and what makes her very unique is that the majority of her skills are songs. so she's actually playing different types of songs, and maybe even eventually weaving those songs together to generate her desired results on the battlefield. So to just talk through those lines, we have the Rhapsodist, which is rhythm based, and you've got your rhythm and motion, which is something that's going to be affecting fellow Gearlocs and yourself with regard to movement and a couple other things. And then the Siege of Karen is do I want to explain that one yet? It's another group buff, let's say that much. Only time will tell. Same type of thing. It's also a positive effect die that is going to, or skill that is going to be played on your own team. The let's see, what do we got next? The Lamentor. The Lamentor is more of kind of like the dirge side, where if you're taking that profession, it's much more aggressive. It's much more baddie related. So the Chords of Dissonance, Cry of River Wild, Breaking of Daelore, these are songs of lamentation that are going to affect baddies, or affect more accurately affect the battlefield in terms of all baddies that you're going up against. So very effective at kind of dousing some of those advantages that baddies have. The final line is kind of a mix. It's the Allure line, and the Allure, there's two skills here that relate to, and we'll just let you, we'll let you, without going over specifics, we'll let you imagine what Beautiful Bliss and Forever Mine potentially could mean in terms of charming baddies. That's all I'll say at this point, but it's going to be probably one of her most unique and most fun, but also challenging in the way it's used skill lines to play with or play through. Prelude to Night and Under the Old Zelphe are there's a healing one with the Zelphe that heals the group, and Prelude to Night has something to do with recovery, not necessarily the phase, but we'll leave it at that. Again, I apologize. There's so much I want to say, but I also don't want to spoil too many things. So we're just giving you little bits, little morsels to chew on here. Her backup plan has a few things. Focus. You can see that there's 4 that are skills, and then the 5th one, she does not have anything before potentially unlocking Song Weaver, which gives her much more accessibility to multiple songs at once. The flute song is also just that. It's going to allow her to play multiple instruments at a time, and so that will also allow her to augment things differently. Shrill Assault and Self-Soothe are, there's a recovery one there, a health recovery, but then the Shrill Assault has an effect of confusion, and then Focus again allows her to hone in some of her dice results a little bit better. So that's like the overview of Stanza, I would say, is very group oriented. Some effects that are maybe slightly less potent, but handle a lot of baddies. So when you're, I would agree with many people who say that 2 Gearlocs with the current system of assigning baddie points, calculating baddie points, it definitely has its challenges, because the more Gearlocs you're playing with, the more synergies you have with each other. And therefore, at 2, you don't gain some of the benefits that we've built in to solo play to accommodate and alleviate the fact that you don't have synergy with any other Gearloc. But yet you're still struggling because you don't have a lot of synergy at 2 players or 2 Gearlocs. You just have one other character you're working with. So there's some challenges there. And I think that Stanza, you'll find that her skills, even though they're group orientated, that they will or oriented, that they will be extremely useful when playing with Duster. Again, remember that there's potential skills to maybe even get other units fighting for you. So very quickly, this can be more than a two-player situation. So enough said on that for now. We'll leave it all, the rest of it, question marks. Thanks, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this spotlight.